Welcome to Triumphant Over Trauma, where resilience reigns and women rewrite their stories of victory after trauma. I'm Gina, your guide on this empowering journey. With a mission to help women overcome trauma, I'm here to inspire you to cultivate a positive mindset, embrace self-love, and find peace. Join me as we celebrate strength, reclaim power, and triumph over adversity together. Before we go any further today, I want you to imagine something with me. Picture yourself sitting on a comfortable couch, wrapped in a soft blanket. In your hands is a warm cup of hot chocolate, the steam rising gently in the quiet of the moment. Outside the window, snow is falling slowly from the sky, each snowflake drifting down with its own shape, its own path, its own quiet brilliance. Take a breath with me. There's something deeply peaceful about watching snow fall. The world becomes quieter, slower, softer. And as you sit there, you begin to notice something beautiful. No two snowflakes are the same. Each one is completely unique, intricately designed, impossible to replicate, and breathtaking in its own way. Just like you. Just like every piece of your story, even the pieces that hurt, especially the pieces that hurt. Because here's the truth that many people don't talk about when it comes to healing from trauma. The moments that trigger us the most are often the moments that hold the greatest potential for transformation. But when those triggers hit, it rarely feels that way. Maybe you've experienced it before. A comment someone makes suddenly sends your heart racing. A certain tone of voice tightens your chest. A memory surfaces and your mind spirals into overthinking. A situation unfolds and you feel yourself reacting before you even understand why. It can feel like stepping on an emotional landmine. 1 second you're calm, the next second your nervous system is on fire. And for so many women healing from trauma, those moments can feel confusing, overwhelming, and sometimes even discouraging. You might find yourself asking, why did that affect me so much? Why can't I just let it go? Why do these feelings keep coming back? But what if those moments weren't evidence that something is wrong with you? What if they were actually invitations? Signals. Messages from the parts of you that are asking to be seen, understood, and healed. Today we're going to explore something I call the Trigger Alchemy Method, the process of transforming those emotional landmines into powerful teachers that guide you towards deeper self-awareness, emotional freedom, and personal growth. Because triggers are not just reactions. They are reflections. They reveal the places where your heart has been hurt, the places where your boundaries were crossed, the places where your voice was silenced, the places where your nervous system learned to protect you. And when you learn how to meet those moments with curiosity instead of shame, something incredible happens. Your triggers stop controlling you, and they start teaching you. They show you where your healing is asking to go deeper. They show you where your strength is waiting to rise. They show you the parts of yourself that are ready to be reclaimed. Just like those snowflakes falling outside the window, every experience in your life has its own shape, its own meaning, its own role in the story of who you are becoming, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones. So today, as we sit together in this quiet space, warm drink in hand, snow falling gently outside, I want you to give yourself permission to approach your triggers with compassion, not judgment, not frustration, but curiosity. Because hidden inside those emotional reactions are some of the greatest teachers you will ever encounter on your healing journey. And when you learn how to listen to them, truly listen, you begin to transform pain into wisdom, reactions into awareness, and wounds into profound strength. This is where alchemy begins. This is where triggers stop being enemies and start becoming guides. So let's take a deep breath together and begin. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how something that seems small to someone else can feel enormous inside of you? A look, a tone of voice, a message that goes unanswered, a situation that reminds you of something you thought you had already moved past. Suddenly, your heart starts racing. Your thoughts begin spinning. Your chest tightens. And before you even understand what's happening, you feel like you've been pulled back into a storm that you didn't see coming. Those moments can make you feel like something is wrong with you. But here's the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. Your nervous system is simply remembering. When trauma happens, your brain becomes very good at protecting you. It starts scanning the world for anything that resembles the pain you've experienced before. Your mind learns the patterns. Your body learns the signals. Your nervous system becomes hyper-aware of anything that might feel even remotely similar to the moment when you were hurt. And because your brain's first job is survival, it doesn't always wait to confirm whether danger is actually present. It reacts. Your mind says, "This feels familiar." Your nervous system says, "We've been here before." And your body responds as if the past is happening again in the present moment. This is why trauma can turn ordinary moments into emotional landmines. Not because you're weak, not because you're overly sensitive, but because your body learned how to protect you in the best way it knew how. For example, imagine a woman who grew up in an environment where conflict often led to yelling or emotional withdrawal. Years later, she might find herself feeling anxious when someone raises their voice, even slightly. Her body isn't just hearing a louder tone, it's remembering what louder tones once meant. Or imagine someone who was repeatedly abandoned in relationships. A delayed text message from a partner might suddenly trigger a wave of panic or self-doubt. Her mind might start telling stories like, "They're pulling away," or "I must have done something wrong." In those moments, the reaction isn't really about the text message. It's about the memory that lives beneath it. Trauma doesn't just live in our thoughts. It lives in our bodies. It lives in the reflexes of our nervous systems. It lives in the quiet places where our past experiences shaped how safe or unsafe the world feels. And when a situation reminds our nervous system of something painful, even in subtle ways, it can trigger reaction before our logical mind even has time to catch up. That's why healing isn't just about telling yourself to think differently. Healing is about learning how to understand the language of your reactions, because every trigger is pointing towards something, a boundary that was once crossed, a need that once went unmet, a wound that is ready to be seen with compassion instead of shame. Triggers are not proof that you're broken. They are clues. They are signals. They are invitations from your inner world saying, there is something here that deserves your attention, your kindness, and your healing. And when you begin to look at your triggers through that lens, something powerful happens. Instead of feeling like emotional explosions that knock you off your feet, they become doorways. Doorways into deeper self-awareness. Doorways into understanding your patterns. Doorways into reclaiming your power. This is where the shift begins. Because once you understand why triggers happen, you can stop fighting them and start transforming them. And that transformation is exactly what we're about to explore through something I call the Trigger Alchemy Method, a process that helps you turn emotional reactions into some of your greatest tools for healing, growth, and self-understanding. So take another deep breath with me, because the very moments that once felt like your biggest setbacks may actually become your greatest teachers. And we're about to walk through how that happens. Now that we understand why triggers happen, we can begin transforming them. Because here's the truth most people never hear during healing. Triggers are not the enemy. They are messengers. But when we don't know how to listen to them, those messages arrive like explosions instead of guidance. That's where trigger alchemy comes in. Alchemy is the ancient art of turning something heavy into something valuable, such as turning lead into gold. And emotional alchemy works the same way. When you learn how to meet your triggers with awareness instead of avoidance, they stop controlling you and start revealing the deeper wisdom inside your healing journey. So let me walk you through the 5 steps of the Trigger Alchemy Method. Step number 1, pause the explosion. The first step is simple but powerful. Pause. When you feel triggered, your nervous system is trying to protect you by reacting quickly. Your thoughts may start racing, your emotions may intensify, and your body may feel tense or overwhelmed. In that moment, the most healing thing you can do is interrupt the reaction cycle. Take one slow breath, then another. You are not ignoring the trigger. You are creating space between the moment and your reaction. Here is an example. Someone says something that feels dismissive. Instead of immediately reacting with anger, shutting down, or overexplaining yourself, you pause. You breathe. You allow your nervous system to slow down. This moment of pause is where your power returns. Step number 2, name the trigger. Once you pause, the next step is awareness. Ask yourself gently, what exactly just triggered me? Was it a tone of voice? A feeling of being dismissed? A moment that made you feel unseen? Triggers often hide beneath surface reactions. Here is an example. Maybe a friend cancels plans at the last minute. On the surface, it may feel like frustration, but when you look deeper, the trigger might actually be a feeling of being unimportant, something your heart has experienced before. Naming the trigger turns confusion into clarity, and clarity is the beginning of healing. Step number 3, trace the root. Once you identify the trigger, ask yourself another powerful question. When have I felt this before? Triggers almost always connect to earlier emotional experiences, not because you're stuck in the past, but because your nervous system remembers moments that shaped your sense of safety. Here is an example. Feeling ignored by a partner might remind your body of a childhood experience where your needs weren't heard. Your mind may think you're reacting to today, but your body is remembering yesterday. Tracing the root doesn't trap you in the past. It helps you understand the pattern so you can finally release it. Step number 4, offer compassion instead of judgment. This step is where true transformation begins. Instead of criticizing yourself for being triggered, offer compassion to the part of you that learned to protect yourself. You might place your hand on your heart and quietly say, "Of course that hurt. It makes sense that I reacted this way. You were protecting me." Self-compassion softens the nervous system. It tells your inner world that it is finally safe to be seen without the shame. And when shame dissolves, healing becomes possible. Step number 5, choose the empowered response. Now that you've paused, named the trigger, traced the root, and offered compassion, you get to do something powerful. You choose your response. Not from fear, not from old survival patterns, but from the version of you who is healing. Here is an example. Instead of shutting down, you might calmly express your feelings. Instead of overexplaining yourself, you might set a boundary. Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, you might remind yourself, "I am safe now." This step is where the alchemy happens. The trigger that once controlled you becomes a moment where you reclaim your power. Every time you walk through these 5 steps, something incredible begins to happen. Your triggers lose their intensity. Your nervous system learns new patterns. Your mind begins to trust your ability to handle emotional waves without drowning in them. And slowly, the moments that once felt like emotional landmines becomes moments of profound self-understanding. They become teachers, guides, signposts pointing you towards the parts of yourself that are ready to heal. This is what emotional alchemy looks like, turning reaction into awareness, turning pain into wisdom, turning triggers into transformation. And the more you practice this process, the more you begin to realize something beautiful. You are not fragile. You are not broken. You are becoming someone who can meet life's emotional storms with steadiness, compassion, and strength. And that is where true freedom begins. Before we move forward, I want to invite you into a quiet moment with me. If you are able to, gently close your eyes. If you are driving or moving about your day, simply soften your focus and breathe with me. Take a slow breath in and let it out gently. Again, breathe in through your nose and release through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let the muscles in your body soften. Now imagine yourself exactly where we began this episode. You're sitting on the couch, wrapped in warmth, holding that cup of hot chocolate in your hands. Outside the window, snow is falling quietly from the sky. The world feels calm here, safe, peaceful. Each snowflake drifting down in its own way, completely unique, completely beautiful, just like every experience in your life. Now I want you to imagine a moment that recently triggered you. Nothing overwhelming, just a moment that stirred an emotional reaction. Maybe it was a conversation. Maybe it was a feeling of rejection. Maybe it was a situation that left you questioning yourself. Allow that moment to appear in your mind like a scene on a movie screen in front of you. Notice it without judgment. Just observe. Now take a slow, deep breath and remember the first step of the Trigger Alchemy Method. Pause. Imagine pressing a gentle pause button on that moment. The scene freezes. You're no longer inside the reaction. You're observing it with curiosity instead of being swept away by it. Take another breath. Now gently ask yourself, what exactly hurt here? Was it a feeling of being misunderstood, unseen, unappreciated? Notice the emotion beneath the reaction. Now imagine the feeling appearing as a small, glowing light in front of you. This light represents the part of you that was wounded in the past, the part of you that learned to protect itself. Look at that light with kindness, not frustration, not judgment, just compassion. Now imagine your present self standing up from the couch. You walk toward the light, and as you approach it, you realize something. The light is not something separate from you. It's a younger version of yourself, the part of you that experienced that pain for the first time, the part of you that learned to react so quickly because it was trying to stay safe. Gently kneel beside her. Place your hand over her heart and say quietly, I see you. I understand why you reacted. You were protecting me. You did the best you could. Feel what happens in your body as you offer that compassion. The tension begins to soften. The storm begins to quiet. Now imagine that younger version of you looking up at you, and in her eyes is something beautiful. Relief, because she no longer is alone. Now gently take her hand and help her stand beside you. She is not something you need to push away. She is a part of you that deserves to be held with love. Together, the two of you walk back to the couch. You sit down again. Snow continues falling outside the window, peacefully, quietly. And as you sit there together, you realize something powerful. The trigger that once felt like an explosion has become a teacher. It revealed a wound, and that wound revealed a part of you that needed compassion. Take one more deep breath. Feel the calm in your chest, the steadiness in your body, the clarity in your mind. Now place your hand over your heart and say quietly to yourself, my triggers are not my enemies. They are my teachers. They are guiding me toward healing. Take one final slow breath. And when you're ready, gently bring your awareness back to this current moment. This is how triggers transform, not through force, not through avoidance, but through awareness, compassion, and choice. And the more you practice meeting your emotional reactions this way, the more those landmines turn into pathways toward self-understanding, toward emotional freedom, toward becoming someone who is no longer afraid of what she feels. As you sit here now, breathing a little deeper, feeling a little softer towards yourself, I want you to notice something important. You just did something incredibly powerful. You didn't run from the trigger. You didn't silence the emotion. You didn't shame yourself for reacting. You met yourself with awareness, with compassion, with understanding. And that right there is where healing, real healing begins. Because healing is not about never being triggered again. It's about learning how to meet those moments with a steadiness that says, I know how to take care of myself now. But here's the truth so many women discover along their healing journey. While these moments of self-awareness are powerful, they're even more transformative when you have guidance, support, and a safe space to continue the work. Because healing doesn't happen in one conversation. It happens through practice, through reflection, through learning how to understand yourself on deeper and deeper levels. That's exactly why I created Finding Direction from Within. It's not a place where someone tells you who you should be. It's a place where you learn how to reconnect with your own inner wisdom, the part of you that already knows the direction your life is asking you to move in. Inside this experience, we explore the very things we talked about today. How to understand your emotional patterns, how to shift the way you respond to triggers, how to rebuild trust in yourself, how to create a life that feels aligned, peaceful, and authentic. Whether you choose to move through it at your own pace with a DIY version, or you decide to walk through the journey alongside me with deeper support, the intention is the same: to help you reconnect with yourself, to help you move from reacting to life, to consciously creating it. So if something inside of you feels curious, if something inside of you feels ready to go deeper, you can visit www.bodyelementsmindelevation.com and explore Finding Direction from Within. Not because you need fixing, but because you deserve the support that helps you turn moments like the ones we just shared into a life filled with clarity, confidence, and emotional freedom. And remember this: you don't have to walk this path alone. There are spaces where your healing is welcomed, where your story is honored, where your growth is supported. And this is one of them. As always, thank you for being here with me today. Wherever you are, may you move through your day with a little more gentleness towards yourself. And the next time a trigger rises within you, may you remember that it is not a sign of weakness, but an invitation to understand yourself more deeply. May you meet those moments with compassion, curiosity, and courage, turning every emotional landmine into a stepping stone toward healing. And as you continue forward, may you trust that even the most tender parts of your story are quietly shaping the strongest, wisest, and most loving version of you. This is Gina, signing off. Thank you for tuning in to Triumphant Over Trauma, where resilience prevails and women rewrite their stories of victory after trauma. Remember, healing is a journey, not a destination. Keep embracing your strength, cultivating resilience, and shining your light bright. You are capable of triumphing over any challenge life throws your way. Until next time, keep rising and thriving. You've got this.